Hello, I'm Senator Mike Enzi. For the first time in 17 years, the federal government has entered a partial shutdown. As Congress works to find a solution, I'd like to take the time to address some of the important questions and comments you've asked me on my Facebook and Twitter pages and in calls to my office. Jennifer from Thermopolis said that our most basic jobs in Congress are not being done. Lucas from Laramie said that the Senate majority is too focused on keeping a failing health care law from flopping around to see what really matters and help the American people. It only makes sense to at least postpone Obamacare's careless spending when pushing to keep the government moving. David from Cheyenne wants to ask Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, why the Senate has not passed a budget or any appropriations bill. This shutdown that we're going through is 100% preventable. There isn't any single vote that's supposed to solve the whole thing. The way it's supposed to work is we're supposed to pass each of the spending bills, and there are 12 of them required every year, before October 1st. And if we bring them to the floor and have an open amendment process, they'll pass. Harry Reid chose not to let us have any amendments on the one that he brought up, and he only brought up one, and then expected us to go ahead and pass it even though we had no input on it. That's not how the system's supposed to work. We need to stop deal making and we need to start legislating. Then we wouldn't have these partial shutdowns or total shutdowns of some agencies. So I'd like to have a chance to vote on those funding bills. I'd like to have it done timely, and then we don't need a continuing resolution to keep government going. Shutting down the national parks. Kenny from Cody complained that spending more money to shut down our parks, memorials, and offices so they can treat the American people and our guests like we're criminals is wrong. Sally from Torrington said that her daughter and her husband plan to visit Gettysburg this weekend but can't because of the government shutdown. John from Laramie noted how the House is trying to pass funding bills for the parks and Veterans Affairs, but that President Obama has threatened to veto them. The last offer that we had over here was to have a few people from the Senate get together with a few people from the House and get this all worked out. And Harry Reid chose to have his side defeat that. That's wrong. Closing down the parks is wrong. Closing down turnouts is wrong. They're putting up barricades so you can't even pull off to take a picture of the Tetons. I asked how much it cost for those barricades because we never had them before. I asked how much it cost to put those barricades out. They told me they had to barricade those off because they're garbage cans, there won't be anybody to pick up the garbage. I said, why don't you just pick up the garbage cans and take them out of there? Somebody suggested that with their attitude, maybe we ought to put a big veil over all of the Tetons so people can't appreciate those. Yellowstone Park closed down. That's a revenue center. People pay to go into the park, to drive through the park. They're concessionaires in the park. They're losing money. They normally pay rent, and then they pay a percentage of their take. They're not doing that because there are no customers. That's wrong, and the way that it was handled is wrong. That's all to make it hurt. That's what the philosophy is on this partial shutdown. Make it hurt for the people so the people will complain so that they can have whatever they want in any of the spending bills. That's not going to happen. We have to be judicious in what we're doing. We have to take a look at it and not keep spending money. So, I also have a letter from Tess from Gillette who asked that I just say no to raising the debt limit. She says that in hard times, real folks don't keep ringing up a tab. We cut up our credit cards and put ourselves on a tight budget. Congress should do the same. Melissa from Cheyenne says that if America doesn't get its financial house in order, we'll be defaulting on our debt, and the dollar will no longer be the world's reserve currency. Cody from Jackson said, keep it shut down as long as needed and do not compromise on raising the debt ceiling without a firm budget. All the times that a debt ceiling has been raised, there's been some kind of a thing to put us on at least a partial path to cutting back spending. The president has said he's not going to negotiate. Pretty flat out. We had a hearing this morning in the Finance Committee, and I brought up the point that the Wyoming people understand that you can't keep spending more money than you take in. The Wyoming people know that this is unsustainable. And I wanted to know from the Secretary of the Treasury how he intended to get us out of this jam, how he intended to start bringing the spending curve down. It's not a problem of income, it's a problem of outgo. We are spending more money than we're taking in, and we've got to solve that problem. The leadership is saying, no, it has to just be our way or no way. And they just want another year to try and solve the problem before we'll talk about it, and another $1 trillion in debt. Wyoming people I know won't stand for that, and I won't either. So I hope that we're able to resolve the government shutdown and the debt ceiling debates as quickly as possible, and in a bipartisan way. We have to stop the spending. We have to stop governing crisis to crisis. Thank you for watching and keeping me informed. Make sure to check my website, Facebook, and Twitter for more information about how I'm using your ideas to help in Washington.